Welcome to Piccadilly Talks. I'm your host, Angelique Virtue, and today we're going to be having a conversation with a gentleman who, it would be cliche to say he needs no introduction, but today we talk with Mr. Kevin Jones, who is the principal of the Mona High School, among several other remarkable things. And we're going to be talking about leadership and governance and the consideration of artificial intelligence in our schools and some of its implications for how our students can emerge from the system prepared for the march of artificial intelligence and the changes and the impact that it will have on the world of work. Mr. Jones, good day. I am so excited.
Thank you for having me.
You know why I'm excited?
Tell me.
I have to start off with putting you into the type of context that your school and its athletes deserve. Because Mona High School has emerged in our local space as an authority in football. And for many of us from afar off, we know something different was happening. We saw the results on the field. The gentleman went on to lift the Manning Cup, and so the result speaks for itself. Having a conversation today about leadership and governance, and having that as one of those recent public examples of governance, is remarkable to be able to talk about and to sit with you. So to start off, what did you do to change the fortune of what was before 2022, 23, I would say, was a no-name school in football to now raise one of the most coveted athletics titles in Jamaica? What you do?
I think it's more than football. Let me start with the fact that I'm a product of Clarendon College, and CC plays good football. Everybody knows Clarendon College.
You have to balance it off. I see what you're doing there.
Man,
You have to give some credit.
I have to, yes, because as one person said earlier, you know, you have to start somewhere. So having become a principal and assumed the leadership role, the professional head of the school in
When
2014. That's 2014 in September. I was in the States and I returned home and I said, you know what, I want to come back and make a difference in the lives of kids. And I was successful enough to be placed at Mona High School. And when you look at a school, you're looking at governance, you're looking at leadership and management, teaching and learning,
Yes.
discipline, school culture, infrastructural upgrade, and so forth. Those are some of the things that you look at. And of course, financial management, and as you mentioned earlier, sports. So when I came in and everything, and I presented my strategic plan to the board and told them where I see Mona High School within the next 3 to 5 years. I told them if after 5 years, 5 to 7 years, the name Mona High School doesn't become a household name in Jamaica, they might as well fire me, because I'm going to come in and make an impact.
You were that confident?
Yeah, man. Yeah, because I understand the system and I know how it works. So you came in and I set up my management team and I met my senior teachers and so forth, and I started executing my plan with, of course, with the assistance of the board of management and senior teachers, vice principals, etc. And we started working at all aspects of school life and changing the culture of the school. Yes. Because for many years, since 1979, Mona has been established. We've been playing second fiddle to some of these so-called traditional high schools, you know? And then we see our athletes, footballers, leaving to go to Wolmer's and JC and other schools to play football. And I said, you know, why don't we, create a program here where we can actually, keep our students here at the school and hone their talents and let them represent the school. So we started out and, built a dormitory for the boys to stay. And we have a canteen and you provide breakfast, lunch, dinner. And we set up a program. And we went through about 2 or 3 coaches. And then finally, I got the chance to meet Mr. Butler, Craig Butler. And we sat down, and when the gentleman spoke about his passion for football and where he wants to take students, for them to become professional footballers, I said to myself, this man's vision, you know, harmonizes with mine. And so let's see if we can team up and get it done. And we offered him the job. And I communicated clearly to him my expectations. He communicated clearly to me what are the things that he needs, the support that he wants the school community to give him. And we did everything as much as possible to assist Mr. Butler. And I was there with him side by side, talking to the boys, talking to the assistant coach, and see if we can, you know, really move it forward. And in the first year of the competition, the first time, in
with him coaching.
Yes, with him coaching. Went to the quarterfinals.
And that would have been an improvement.
Yeah, man. Because before you drop out round one, first round, second round.
No name school.
You know, yes, you know. We're a beaten stick, and I did not appreciate that, you know.
It didn't sit well
No,
with you.
and I have a very competitive spirit.
All right.
So
the next year?
And the next year, we went to the semifinal.
You said, all right, progress.
Yes, and I said, well, this is it. You
Mona
know?
High School
Unfortunately, we lost to Jamaica College at the National Stadium.
But name calling in news.
And
people
I tell you,
taking
yes,
notice.
because, you know, you're looking at Mona now, we were forced to be reckoned with. And I said, gentlemen, next year is our year, 2023.
Wow.
And the rest is history. We won the Manning Cup. It's right in my office. When you come there, it's right there. Everybody, as they come in, I say, you know, there it is, you know. We finally did it. And I just wanted the students, the past students, the parents, the staff members, for them to recognize that, listen, you can do it. You can, and I said to them, listen, we reach.
Yes.
We are no longer looking up to other schools and say, boy, I wish this was Mona. And no, we are there.
Yes.
So when we step out, or roll out, if you may, they take us seriously. Because Mona is now, as I said before.
And rightfully so. You see, that kind of transformative leadership, the kind of daring that you had to suggest to a school who had no kind of authority in a space that you were determining that they would dominate, is the kind of courage that we believe is important when we consider the march of technology and the march of artificial intelligence in particular, and how experts locally and in our wider society are suggesting that it will begin to impact our schools. One of the insights, and I was just about to say Dr. Jones, because that with your attitude
in due time
and the journey that you're on, I'm sure the next time we speak, it will be Dr. Jones. Sir, it is that kind of daring and courage that we think the leaders in our school administrations need to begin to consider when we think about the far-reaching implications of artificial intelligence. One of the first ones I want to hear your considered opinion on is let's talk about assessment and how we measure competence. Our current system asks, let's say a school leaving, asks our students to submit a home or what we call school-based assessment, and then they sit external exams that are proctored by the Overseas Examinations Commission here in Jamaica. And they sit those exams that are external, facilitated by the OEC, and they get their grades and they're able to matriculate to tertiary education. But the school-based assessment in particular invites the student to research, to gather information, data, to critically assess it and present it to show competence in the area. Artificial intelligence, as it evolves, is able to gather information, critically assess it as a fifth form student at Mona High, present information according to the demands of the syllabus, which you can upload into the software, and produce the results in the language and tonality of a 16-year-old student. Increasingly so, with no restrictions to the access to that information. How might we have to consider that part to begin with of how we assess students?
Well, when you, for the most part, it is necessary to always assess students.
Yes.
Because that's the only way you will know whether or not students have attained mastery or near mastery of a particular concepts and skills. So you have to do that. I mean, you're preparing students for tertiary institution and by extension the world of work. So you have to have some sort of mechanism to measure student progress in a particular, subject or field of study, whatever you want to call it. Where assessment is concerned, if AI technology can be used to, kind of, triangulate, like, for example, the needs of students
Yes.
and what they have completed so far in the syllabus, and to tailor it to the needs of specific students, like maybe you do some tracking and classify students in different groups,
Correct.
then I'm totally in support of that.
Personalized education.
Yes, because all kids learn differently, they move at different pace, etc. And it is what it is. It is the world in which we live, and we have to accept that sort of thing. Before I came in here, I was speaking to some persons out there by telling them that, listen, you have to remember that AI, artificial intelligence, is a form of technology. And it is not necessarily the be-all and end-all of anything. It's a technology, and technology is always a tool.
Yes.
And it depends on how well you use it, And in this case, you mentioned assessment. So what can we do? How can we use AI technology to kind of enhance student learning and also to enhance assessment with a view to ensuring that, students meet standards and move on to tertiary institutions?
That's
what have
exactly
you?
where we are.
Right. And with the whole technology thing too, when it comes on to school-based assessment and students getting all of this work done on their own, and they can just go onto the computer and pull down something and then reproduce it as their own work, that's an ethical issue. That's
Yes.
the ethical side of it, because that's, the university will tell you that's plagiarism. It's not your own work. So to get around that, you need to get students, to, of course, to pull down the information, read the information, critique the information, critically analyze the thing, and then you produce your understanding of what you have learned. So on the one hand, nothing is wrong with them extracting the information, chat GPT or what have you, giving them that information, but it can't be that they're just going to regurgitate whatever was given to them. So that the school system will now have to deal with, and we have to come up with some sort of mechanism, some ways to ensure that what we get from the students is not necessarily something that they just simply pull off the internet, but they are actually demonstrating their understanding of what they data that they pull down. Right. The other thing too is that we all know that AI technology, what it does is that it simulates or mimic human intelligence.
That's correct.
Using machine, and it has its place. And when you look at even some industries where you have repetition and routine tasks, and AI is being used to replace all of that for the sake of efficiency and industries maximizing profits, that's the business side of things. And if a business owner realizes that this form of technology will allow me to increase my profit margin and so forth, they will go for it, because that's the line of business. But interestingly though, there are some concerns, because I remember I was reading something at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and they were talking about the concerns that they have where AI technology is concerned. For one thing, they believe that within the next 5 to 10 years, about 40% of human employment will be displaced as a result of AI technology, globally that is, and 60% in advanced economies, North America, Western Europe, and some Asian countries like Singapore and so forth. So there's a real concern, because when AI technology now causes industry leaders to see human skill as a mismatch, and they say, no, we have to replace that for the sake of efficiency and profit margin, and pull them out and push them aside, then those skills will become obsolete. And then what will happen is that you're going to end up creating a larger pool of unemployment, which will have some serious political and social issues in many countries.
Well,
so
the World Economic Forum and other very well established research institutions have several positions. The positions of others, Mr. Jones, is that, and we had a conversation in another episode where quite like with the invention of the motor car, and stable hands did not need to tend to horses anymore. While the stable hand was obsolete, we needed many mechanics.
Right.
And so what we consider here is that artificial intelligence presents, if you look at it on one side of the coin, a risk and a threat, and on the other side of the same coin, an opportunity. We want to explore the opportunities.
Right.
One of the things to come home to the opportunities is from where you sit as a trailblazing, transformative leader, evidenced by the prowess of the schoolboys. You see that title? You hear that title?
You're far too kind, but continue.
From where you sit in that capacity,
Yes.
could there be ways that we could make changes in the classroom? And we're asking you, practically, you have a school in the classroom, so that as the technology marches on, our students begin to see it as opportunities and as a space for them to occupy with confidence. What could we do differently? What could we proposition and be first in Jamaica at Mona High School?
Well, you have to look at what is in high demand.
All right.
And what is happening in the world. When you look at the careers
Yes.
in AI technology, and everything has to do with computer programming and cloud computing.
Could we begin to teach that earlier?
But I'm coming to that.
All
That is
right.
something that we can actually look at. But right now, as we speak, in order to get into that field,
Yes.
you need a first degree from a tertiary institution to, as a start, as a prerequisite to all of these things, where AI technology is concerned. And the prerequisite in the high school is information technology. So if we're going to prepare students to go into that field, what we will have to do is to maybe start introducing information technology from early as first form. We actually offer it at second form, that's grade 8. So all the way up to CSEC.
Right.
Right. The take-up, the subscription at CAPE is not so good. I don't know why, but it is something that we have to maybe be deliberate about.
Yes.
So to prepare students for the future, to ensure that they can actually matriculate at a tertiary institution and pursue a career in the
space,
field,
yes.
then we have to introduce the course at first form, first, second, and third, and hopefully we will have a lot of students subscribing to do the course at CSEC and of course at CAPE, and then, as I said before, go off into a tertiary institution to pursue that. So that is a role that schools will have to play. In other words, expose the kids to it as soon as possible, as early as possible.
What about the teachers now? Because,
well, if you offer the subject in the school, then you need the teachers to teach the subject. And my job as a principal is that we know that there are many factors impacting student performance in schools. And within a school setting, the single most important factor is the quality teacher. And so my job is to ensure that in every single classroom at Mona High School, there's a qualified, highly qualified, competent teacher standing there and delivering the curriculum. So if we're offering that, we need teachers who are progressive, teachers who are passionate about technology, AI, and so forth, AI technology, and to offer, these courses in the school, and hopefully our students will pursue these courses.
many teachers are fearful of AI. They believe that because of the capacity of the technology to replicate, then they themselves might become obsolete. Whereas the data, the curriculum exists, we can
but it has its
duplicate. But we also believe that the teacher can be aided by AI, be supported through the work of AI, and transfer that kind of engagement and adaptation of the intelligence into the way their classes are delivered. You brought up, Mr. Jones, how specialized delivery. Maybe this teacher is versed in one type of methodology for my favorite subject, mathematics, but is aware of a different method.
Oh, like
Rather
teaching
than-
strategies you're talking.
That is
right.
the something. So rather than attempting to learn that would take some time, a completely different method, maybe identifying 3-5 students who somehow aren't grasping the concept and saying, well, what if I enter the requirements or the objectives of this quarter's syllabus, this portion of the syllabus, and have you learn from a replica of me that is versed in a different strategy.
I got you. I see where
Having
you're going.
teachers open
Yeah.
to that, because it is far simpler than we realize.
Right.
You
What
know?
we, what, and we're going to do a workshop on it with our teachers in the summer coming up for the opening of the new school year.
What kind of workshop in the summer?
We might get somebody to come in and talk about AI technology. And I tell you what, my workshop in January of this year got a gentleman to come in and speak to the teachers about AI technology.
Yes.
Yes, so just to whet the appetite of the teachers.
So you are you are along that path of
Yeah, man,
embracing.
because it is what it is. It's coming. You can't stop it.
Some schools would never do that, you know, Mr. Jones.
Well, I am different. I'm a little bit different.
So I
should
would
say.
think that that is, because what we want to do out of this episode is to have some recommendations. And I do
Right.
believe that that is one specific that I want to reiterate.
Right.
That bringing the knowledge of the opportunities to our faculty, to our teachers, is critical so that they can have an understanding of what
Right.
is available. But you
What
were
we
about
don't,
to tell me.
right, for the most part, and you know, times have changed and you see technological advancements and so forth, but the nature of man has not changed any at all. Human beings behave the same way over the centuries, you know, a millennia. Look, people tend to fear what they don't know.
Yes.
That's a fact. I want my teachers not to fear this entire AI technology, but to be inquisitive about it. You know, you want to find out, what is this thing all about?
Yes.
And you see, we have to convince our teachers that AI technology is a tool. It's a tool. You're in charge of it. You use it to enhance teaching and learning. And you mentioned some examples right there. There's some downside to it. There are some drawbacks. For example, we know that because it's technology and it is seeking to simulate or
Human.
mimic human intelligence, it has its own disadvantages or limitations. Let me say limitations. For example, it can't reflect on the past.
No.
It can't contemplate the future.
It can't create original thought.
Yeah, it cannot create original thought. It can't use its discretion. It doesn't experience fear. It can't love the students, that sort of thing. It's a tool. It's at
It
your
can
finger.
simulate it, and you have to know that it's not real to be sure that it's not the
Yeah,
things.
but
you are
Yeah.
generally connected. Contextual language is something that
Right.
our artificial intelligence has not mastered in the way humans have. So
Right, and-
we have that safeguard.
And we, as human beings, we have the ability to deceive people. We can do that. The technology is just going to push out what is there. It's data. It is there. Yeah, I can sit here and tell you anything, and you know, if you don't go back and fact check me,
Yes,
you may
yes,
be,
yes.
you know, you may be duped by anything that I tell you. But for the technology, it is the large data that is inputted into the system, and then we use it, as I said before, to, you know, to get a lot of things done. But you mentioned something about teachers using it. That is where we have to start. So we plan to have another workshop with the teachers.
Tell me more about that workshop.
And the first workshop that we had in January, that was just to whet the appetite of
Yes.
the teachers as well. This time we want to be very deliberate about it. And we want as much information as possible. And we will start with those who actually teach information technology. And then we can use them to, you know.
Be evangelists.
Yes. You know, to evangelize about, about AI technology
The
in
good
the
news
school.
of
Yes.
AI.
Because we see the benefits of it and the opportunities, as you mentioned. It is nothing to fear. It has to be controlled. It's not something that you can just let go in society and it run its course, and you know, there's no regulation and all of that stuff. If it's there, then government needs to come up with regulations, and Ministry of Education with policies on how do we utilize the AI technology in schools, and how, to what extent should we use it, etc. So there must be some sort of guidelines guiding us as a school system as to how we use it to enhance teaching and learning, and to create students, or to help to, prepare students for the world of work. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kevin Jones, for joining us. I appreciate your insights, especially, I think, a cautioned approach, but an approach that is not rooted in fear,
Right.
but rooted in the adaptation, and importantly, the knowledge sharing concerning the technology, especially amongst our teachers who are now, the vanguards of that preparation for the students going into the world of work. Thank you so much for joining us here for season 3 of Piccadilly Talks. Mr. Kevin Jones is the principal of Mona High School. We thank him for joining us here for another episode. I'm your host, Angelique Virtue. Until next time.